Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to Lunch with Joy. Today we're talking about AI and how AI can increase your ROI and give you more profits. Let's look at it now. I started with it yesterday. This is going to be the continuing topic. We're going to keep going on this. It's going to be days that we're going to get into this, and we're going to continue getting into it and then start into the content and continue from there. So there's going to be a lot of information here that we're going to be going through and we're going to be dealing with. So the first thing that I want you to look at, the first thing that we need when we get into creating in developing a lead, we need to be able to define that lead. Who is our lead? Who is our perfect ideal client, customer, whichever term you're using? Who is your ideal target market? What is your ideal target market? You need to be able to define that. You want to put a name on that person. Is that person Mary? Is it Joe? Is it Omar? You need to define who that person is. Male, female, age, weight, anything that you have. Married, single, with kids, without kids. What defines the person? The psychographics and the demographics. You want to be able to know that person. If they walk past you on the street, you want to be able to say, "That's my prospect right there," without having to ask him a question. That's a challenge. That's a real challenge. I can do it sometimes, not all the time. But yeah, I have two basic markets, construction and CPAs. I guarantee that a construction worker walking down the street is not going to be dressed like a CPA would be dressed. CPA is going to have a shirt and tie on, or a woman is going to have a suit or a dress or blazer. They're going to be what is generally termed business proper, business, possibly even business casual, but they're going to be dressed like they're walking into a white collar job, because that's what a CPA is. Where the contractor, they're going to have tool belts on, and they're going to have their phone hanging here, and they're going to have, possibly work shoes on, and possibly even a hard hat, because they're working on a job site. So depending upon the type of contractor it is, it makes it a little bit easier to spot the contractors. And driving down the street, the contractors are going to be the ones that have got the ladders on top of their van. They're driving a van or a truck that's got a ladder on top of it, because that's part of what they need on a continuous basis. So these are the people, and you need to know who that person is. And up until recently, and I say recently, I was part of the probably the original women's movement, and bringing women into more of the general workforce. But it's still going on. You cannot presume that just because it's a construction business, that it's going to be a man. And definitely not necessarily going to be a male owner, because I specialize with women construction-owned businesses, because that's my goal. God put that on my heart. He told me to go help 10 million women business owners, and he put the construction workers there. So I said, okay, and I'm headed out and I'm doing it. And so you need to know who is your market. Just because That is my market. Doesn't mean that is the only person that I'm going to talk to or that I'm going to have buying from me. But that is where I start. The CPA. Does it mean the CPA is a male? No. Yeah, one of my best friends, we went all through college together, and she's a CPA. We both graduated from Walsh College, which was a primarily an accounting school. And it's now an accounting and business management school, but it's always been primary accounting. I have my bachelor's degree in accounting. She has her bachelor's in accounting, her master's in tax. My master's is I have an MBA with concentration in finance. So but who are these people? Who is your target market? And do they have kids? It's maybe nothing going to be particularly important, but I will bet that if your target market has children, you'll be talking to them a little bit differently. If they're taking a vacation and you ask where they're going, are you going to expect them to be going to Mexico and just down there laying in the sun if they have kids? Probably not. Not if the kids are younger. You would not be surprised if they told you they were going to go to Disney World or Disneyland or any other fun place like that. That's where you take kids. So that's an okay thing. That's what you want to do. So what is your target market? Who are they? And when you get that, you are able to personalize and develop that engaging and encouraging of that business owner. If you know that business owner has children that are the age of going to Disney World, then you may want to talk about fun things like that. You don't want to just talk about rafting down the Colorado River. I'd like to raft down the Colorado through the Grand Canyon. I've rafted the Colorado River. I would like to raft the Grand Canyon, but that's not what you talk to a family about unless the family is into major sports of that nature. So you need to know who your market is. You want to be able to talk to them in a very direct and very specific words. You don't want to mince words. You want to make it crystal clear what you're saying. When you talk to them about your business, you don't want any fluff. There's no fluff in these words. You want to make sure they understand what you are saying and that there's always going to be a chance of misinterpretation, always. But you want to limit that chance. And that's one of the things that I use AI for. I'll write something and then I'll ask AI, can I tighten this up? Could you tighten this up for me? Make this more concise. Forgive me, my mouth was just drying up. And you want to make sure that it is precisely saying what you want it to say. You don't want to mince words. You don't want to leave anything in the shadows. You want to say exactly what you mean. And make sure that you listen to the old radio station with them. What's in it for me? WIIFM. That's all that your prospect wants to hear. What is in it for me? That's bottom line. That's what they're looking for. So you need to make sure that you are dealing with that, and that's your final point is what's in it for them. What are they going to be able to do with it? How is it going to work? And why is it going to work? And when you do that, then you are going to be able to continue talking to them. And you want to do everything, if you haven't heard about it, it's right behind me, but that's okay. You want to read, oh, come on, Joy. Oh, forgive me. I want to grab this book because it's just too good. And I want everybody to know about my buddy. Joy, it's not right there. What happened to you? Oh, here. Okay. Well, you know, what the blind lady sees, she doesn't see it right now. It's going to be there, but I will tell you about it tomorrow. I'll have the book here with me and make sure you, I give you the name of the book because this is one of the best storytellers that I have ever met. And yes, I have met him. And he talks about storytelling, and that's the way that he works at marketing. You may want to go into, and I keep wanting to call him Don Johnson. Don Johnson is an actor. But anyway, you want to be able to tell a story, your story, that is going to bring out the point that you want to be making. And you want to be able to potentially get AI to help you with that story. It will, you just have to give it the facts and you have to make sure that you tell it precisely what you want, where you want it, where you, and yeah, I'm looking at something and it's referencing a garden. If you're planting a garden, you don't just throw the seeds out there and pray that something's going to sprout. You put holes in the ground and you plant the seeds in the holes. And then you put a little bit of dirt over it, and then you water it, and then you fertilize it, and do whatever you're going to be doing to make sure that you nurture that plant, nurture that seed, and that it grows. Well, you want to be doing the same thing with your stories. I can tell stories till there's no end, but if I just tell you a story, that's nothing. It's not going to do anything. If the story has meaning and it has purpose and it ties to what you are talking about, that's a good story. And people will remember those stories. So that's what you want to go ahead and look at being able to do. And what I highly recommend, just take out a piece of paper, grab any piece of paper and just start writing down a word that reminds you, a story. You may just need a word, one or two words that are going to remind you of a story that you went through, something that you can turn, that you be able to tell somebody at some point in time. It's great to work with. It's great to have this. And then after you do that, you can go back and look at this, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, this is what I learned from that. And you put what you learned there, and then that gives you a way to use that or when you can use that. And so that becomes it becomes a treasure trove. I do it in in my phone. I have got uh, in my notes, because I don't see so good, so I use the phone and I will usually dictate into it and just tell it to type a couple of words. I have got a page that is just for stories that I remember. Yeah, one of my favorite, which has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about now, but it's a fun one. I remember when I was in college up at Michigan State, and I was taking a geology class. We took a geology field trip. We were down at the Outer Banks in North Carolina, and we were traipsing through the ocean because we were looking at the way the land, the ground moves and creates the various sediment and pieces of the sand and that you have in an outcrop, which is you drive down the turnpike, and you will see these flat where they busted through the rock, and you now drive through that. Well, that flat piece is an outcrop, and that outcrop we were studying how that outcrop is made, how it is done, and the instructor, all of a sudden, he stops, he reaches into his pocket, he pulls out his oyster knife. He'd just found a bed of oysters. So we were sitting there eating oysters. What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. If I tell that story, you might remember it, you may laugh at that, but it has nothing to do with anything. There are things that will pertain to, and I can tell that with purpose, but that is a worthless thing that I just said, other than to bring the point to you that it is not something to use unless there is a point that ties to what you're saying. So make sure that whatever you say, whatever stories you use, that they are going to support what you're attempting to get across and work with and do whatever you want to do. What I would love for each one of you to do, I my challenge today, I want you to, in any one of the where yeah, in any one of the comment sections for any social media where this is at, please go in and list. You can just put a single word or 2 words about your story, a story that you remember that you can think of. Doesn't you don't have to have a point with it. You don't have to know where you would use it. I just want you to be able to write in there just one. If you want to write more, that's fine. But put one idea there that you can use that's going to remind you of a story. And that's your piece for today. I am going to come back tomorrow. We'll continue this one tomorrow. We'll continue talking about this. I'm going to find how many people have put their one-liners in there because I want to talk about them tomorrow. I want all of us to be able to talk about that because this is a very, very important thing. So, I'm done for today. If nobody has told you yet today that they love you, let me be the first. I love you because you are you. And that is so very, very, very important. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. And thank you for sharing in the AI. That was crap.